Hi, everybody. Diana here at Sew Uncommon. Welcome, 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 everybody. Today, it's all about you guys. We're talking about 10,000 Starbursts block, the block I've created for you all, as a thank you to all of our first 10,000. And since then, we're almost at 13,000 subscribers. So to all of our subscribers, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to do something a little bit special for you all so that you could have something that's just for you guys. And this block is going to be limited in the time that it's out. It will be completely free. I'll show you how to get it at the end of the video, but it will be completely free to you, and it's only available through the 30th of September because this is just for you guys. We get to 15, 20,000, we might do another block, but this one is for all of you who have been with us since the beginning. So I hope you enjoy it. Oh, do you want to see it? I bet you do. I'm not going to show it to you yet. I've got other stuff I've got to talk to you guys about first. Okay, so I'll talk more at the end, but the quilt along for this year's quilt is coming. It's going to be in October. We're starting right around the middle of the month because it's not a very complicated quilt, but you'll get information about it to help you start prepping before then. But we're going to start doing the videos for it right around the middle of the month. Okay. So we'll talk about that some more at the end. But I want to also remind you all that you can still get your free blocks of the month at the website. I'll show the website info at the end of this video as well for you, so that you can go and grab those. Grab them all, because all the free ones out there, you want to grab them, because when the clock turns to January 1st, those blocks are going away. Yeah, they're going away. So get them while you can get them. They might come back again in other forms and other ways, but get them while you can, okay? Alrighty, and I have a free giveaway that I will talk to you about here in a minute. But now let's show you the block. I chose yellows because I think of Starbursts. I think of yellow and orange and red, but I chose yellow. This block looks very simple, and it is very simple, but it's a completely different shape. We haven't really dealt much with these pie shapes, okay, and triangles. This block, you piece it in 2 halves. In just a moment, I'm going to show you how to piece a half. You'll piece it twice in the same way, and then when you sew them together on your sewing machine, it will turn out like this. It is a 6x6 block, and here in a moment, we're going to go under my camera because I'm going to show you some things that you can do with it to inspire you, because by itself, there's not a lot to it, but you can really use this block in other ways. But I just wanted a very simple starburst, okay? And I did choose the yellows. We'll talk about more of that in a moment. But here's the deal. If you create your block and you post a photo on any of your social media or on our Facebook page, Sew Uncommon, we'd love for you to post them there because that makes it easier for me to find them. Just do hashtag 10,000 Starbursts. So just type it like you see it here. Put a hashtag there, 10K Starbursts. Okay. And then tag us at Sew Uncommon, just the @ sign and Sew Uncommon. And that way, on the 1st of October, I can go out and start finding all the photos. Then everybody's name who posted a photo is going into a bowl, and I'm going to take it over to Dave in his office and have him pick a winner, because I've got a little giveaway for the winner. I thought, you know, why just give a free block? Why not give a little something to someone for making their block? So I have this cute little Moda Candy stack, right? So the Moda Candies are the 2.5-inch squares. Love these. You can do so much with them. This one is called Nantucket Summer. really pretty blues and greens and aquas. Can you see those colors? Creams. So if you're into that, if you like laundry basket quilts, these are those perfect laundry basket quilt colors. But you get something else. You get this cute little enameled charm from Moda. This is also from Moda. It's got a little lobster claw clasp on it. And then you can hang that on your little zippy tool bag or on your zippy bag that you put in your purse or wherever you put your zippies. This would be great as a zipper pull on like a jacket or something this winter. So whoever's name gets chosen, I'll send you those, okay, as a thank you. All righty, everybody. So let us go over under my camera and let's talk about the 10,000 Starburst block in a little bit more detail. And then when we're done with that, we're going to go and over to the machine and we are going to stitch out 1/2 because you're going to make 2 halves. Listen, folks, this is really simple to do. And those of you who go, I don't want to sew anything on my sewing machine. Oh, don't worry. Don't worry, because with our system of Build a Quilt, you've got your little line right here built right in. As long as you sew on that line, you're going to get your perfect seam every time. Accurate seam. You know I don't like that word perfect. It's just comes out of our mouths. But our accurate seam, you're going to get that accurate seam. It's going to be super simple. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to have a 1/4 inch foot. You don't have to have any special rulers, nothing like that for sewing it together. And it's just one line. That's all you'll have to sew together, okay? And then we will, once we have done half of it, we'll come back under the camera because I want to show you and talk to you about the center of this block. Do you see how all of our colors come together here in the center? That causes a little bit of bulk. And I have a little tip for you that my grandmother taught me decades ago on how to get rid of that bulk or how to soften that bulk to the point where you can quilt over it and not have nearly the problem. So let's head over to the camera and let's get started talking about 10,000 Starbursts, which came about because of all of you guys. So let's go take a look. Okay, everybody, here we are under the camera, and we're going to talk about color for a little bit. Now, I say color blocking, I say color grading. In the art world, those two terms have very specific definitions. What I'm talking about is how I guess we would put colors together in a variegated way from dark to light or light to dark or medium, however we're going to choose to make that gradation. So I say color grading, but I'm sure that an actual not license, I guess they're not licensed, but an actual degreed artist would say, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not what that term means, but that's how I use the term. Let's see if I can straighten that up a little bit better. There we go. That might be better. Good. All righty. So here is our 10,000 Starbursts. And you can see I have it sitting so that the sides are going in the vertical rather than in the horizontal. But how you choose to put it into a quilt is completely up to you. And I have some ideas at the end of the video that I'm going to share with you. Sorry about that noise. I was reaching for something. I've got some ideas that I'm going to share with you on how to use this block specifically with our quilt-along quilt that we're going to be making starting in October from our free blocks of the month. I'm looking through one of my little cases here. I don't have what I need, but that's what I can use. Okay. Alrighty. So here we go. So here you can see I've got light to dark and light to dark. So when you create this, you are going to do it in the vertical, not in the horizontal. Let me show you what I mean by that. here's our hoop, and we would have stabilizer in here. So normally when we would do half, we would do half in the horizontal. That's typically how we do it. But this pattern will come up, or your machine might flip it, so you would have to flip it back. But we're going to do it in the horizontal. So we're going to start here, work side to side and side to side. And the reason we're going to do that, let me share with you. This is part of your pattern packet that you're going to get, the placement template. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally we'd do a half, we'd do the other half, but I didn't do it that way this time. And there's kind of here's my thinking about that, okay? First, we lay out our first piece. How do we lay out first pieces of fabrics? Type it in the comments, everybody. How do you lay out your first piece of fabric when you piece in the hoop? It's always right side up. You guys got it. I can hear you out there saying it. It's always right side up. So I would lay that out. This would be, in this particular scenario, my mid-grade fabric, my middle color. That gets laid out first. Then I came over and I did part 2, piece 2. And then instead of doing 3, I did 3 over here. And here's my thinking. When I do it this way, I get a whole half done. And then if I come back and do this half, what if I decide what I wanted fabric-wise didn't work? Now, if you take time to plan your fabrics out, like we're going to do here in a moment, that shouldn't be a problem for you. However, sometimes even when we do things in a plan, plans can be changed, right? I think they can be, as long as it's not a life or death thing. And even sometimes in a life or death situation, plans have to change to make that a life, not a death situation, right? You know what I'm talking about. So if I get 1, 2, 3 and decide I don't like this, when I come to do this piece, then I have to start taking a lot of stuff apart. But if I go 1, 2, and 3, and I decide that 3 doesn't work with 2 the way I like, or these 3 don't work the way I like, I'm only taking that one piece apart, and then I'm going 4 and 5. So I'm going to recommend right now that you keep this either up on your iPad or your tablet or your computer if it's right by your machine, or you keep the printed copy right by your machine so that when you're doing them, you're checking them off and you know which side you're going to. Because sometimes we get confused. I do. So I know somebody else out there must as well. So that's what that will help you with. And you're going to do 1/2. You're going to take that piece of stabilizer out, add a new piece of stabilizer, and come in here and do the next half as well. And you're going to do them exactly in the same order. So you'll start mid, do 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, just like here. Mid, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, ending up on that light side. Because when you go to stitch them together and you lay them on top of each other and you stitch down that guideline, it will make it so you go light to dark, light to dark. You don't end up with your lights touching in the middle. Okay? So I hope that makes sense to you. So here you can see I started out with a really light butter yellow, then came into more of a cornflower yellow. Cornbread, I call it cornbread yellow. That's what it reminds me of. And then here more of a honeyed yellow. And then here more of a, oh gosh, what kind of a yellow? This is definitely more of a golden yellow. This is more of a wheat color, I guess you could say, still in that yellowish family. So that's how I graded my colors light to dark. Let's move this out of the way now, and let's bring some blues and green, blues and aquas in. I've got a whole bunch of stuff here, and I'm going to set these particular ones out of the way for now. I recommend that when you go to grade your colors like this to put a set together, like these would be my blues These would be my aquas. Try not to get too many. You need 5 colors. I would recommend you don't lay out more than 7 or 8, because if you have all of these colors sitting here, it gives you literally eye strain. Your eye gets confused when you start to put stuff together. So just leave about 7 of them out. And we're going to work with these blues to start. So I'm going to start with what I feel like might be my darkest blue. Then I might put in that blue, very much a brighter blue. So do I like it? We'll see. Then I have that blue. Now that's almost a purpley blue, but really it could go like that. What do you think? Is that too purple? That really is blue, but it looks really purple on screen, which tells me it really probably doesn't belong with those blues. So I'm going to just toss that one right to the side. Beautiful color though. And then what about that one? Yeah, we're getting, that's more of a mid-tone. Now here, yes, that would work. And then I need something lighter yet. Would I go there? Or would I put that there and that there? Or how about that one? And then I'm sure I have another lighter blue over here. How about a really light gray? Now I kind of like that, because gray, this is really more of a bluish gray. It really easily fits into that grouping. So that is a grouping I would take. This color and this color are kind of more what I would call muddy blues, where these two are brighter. And so when we mix all of those together, we get a really nice color blocked or gradation from this darker to a little more brighter to a little more softer again. And I really love finishing that up with that light gray. What do you think? Would you do that? I like that one. So that's how I would do blues. Now let's talk about some of these aquas I have here. Let's see. Definitely that would be a dark. Then we're moving into from kind of that muddy to a bright. I like that. That definitely is a mid-tone. And then what about, oh, let's see. What do I have here? Would I go there and then there? These are different colors, but they are so completely similar that I think I would not do this one under this scenario. Let's take that out. Would I try that? Oh, no, no, no. That's like, this is actually a muddy, muddy light green. No, that's not going to work. Would I do that original gray? Nope, I would not do that. What about that? No, that's more in the blue. But what if I put that one there? Definitely lighter. There's still a good contrast. And then that one. That's definitely lighter than that. There's definitely a difference there. So I think that would be my aquas. I like that. My aqua teals. I like that. Again, kind of that darker, more subdued, bright, 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 and soft. Would I do white? That could be. That could be pretty. That white really kind of stands out though, doesn't it? I like that better. Softer. Yeah. I like that one. Okay, so that would be my aquas. Now I want us to talk about something that is not solid. But you guys know I don't keep a ton of solids around. I keep a lot of solids that read, or prints that read as solids. Let's bring these in here. I've got these, and I've got these. Anything else? There's that one. That's really blue, but boy, does that look purple. There we go. I want that in there. No, I don't think so. Maybe we bring that blue back in. Maybe. Okay. So here we have a very, very dark blue. This is like a true navy. True navy blue is really almost black, and that's really close to it. How about those two? Well, this definitely gets brighter, but they're really similar. So we'll leave it there for now. What about that as our mid-tone? That's really dark, not really our mid-tone. What if we took this one away and put that there? Because you really kind of have that darkness, but you're starting to see the brightness. And then what if we put that there? That looks good. That would be your mid. That's a duller mid. I kind of like that one better. Then would I do that? Yeah, I could do that. I could do this one. Now these are Motor Grunge, which I just love. So I could do that. And then we could finish off with another soft. What about that? That looks almost white or gray, but really it on screen, but it is really the softest of blues. I kind of like that. Again, we have our really deep. We start moving into something that's starting to pick up some brightness. You can see it coming, the brightness colors coming through the darker. Then we move into that grunge that's brighter. Definitely that's our mid-tone. Then we start moving down into another grunge, but softer, and then softer again. Anything else I might try there? I'm just looking through my pile here. No, I wouldn't do that one. I think that would be the only thing I might change is if I did these, that and that. That could work. That could work because this Motor Grunge has more color in it, so that could work. But those are almost the same. I think I like going back to having that combo there. So that's how I would play around with grading my fabrics. And in each color family, I only had about 7 colors to choose from. I needed 5. That gave me 2 to play with, and that kept my eye from getting confused and tired of looking at the colors. And here's another tip for you. When I'm doing these, let's take these away. So I have this laid down. I look at it, and then I look away, and I grab a color. I lay it down, and I go, yes, I see some subtle things, how those, and then I turn away. I don't keep staring. That's what I'm trying to get across. I don't keep staring at these. The more you stare, it's almost like the retina of your eye gets that color burned onto it. So look and look away. Look back and look away. That will also help you when you look if something is really going to stand out at you. Let's take, let me pull one of my aquas and put it here. Okay, so I've turned away. Now I've turned and looked. Oh, that's the one. That's very different. That wouldn't work. So I would move that back out. Then I'd lay something else in there. Look away. Look. Much nicer. Much nicer. Okay. Now you're going to maybe ask me about this one because it has other colors in it. Can you do that? Well, in this case, most definitely. And I think these small ditzy prints that kind of read as solid are fine to do with this type of a scenario because in these Motor Grunges, we have other colors as well. Almost making, they're kind of, these Motor Grunge kind of live in another world. They're not print. They're not solid. They're grunge, right? So they kind of live in that nether world of not being a print, not being a solid, but they work. So I would definitely go that route for my 5 colors. And remember, you're dealing with small pieces. So you're not going to have a huge amount of anything showing. You're just going to get that saturation of color coming through. So that's how I would deal with picking colors. And if I don't have enough solids, how I would use prints. Would I use big prints? No, I would use these small prints that read as solid. These kinds, the Moda Grunges, anything super tiny. Let's see. This is one of our older blocks, one of the quatrefoils that I have sitting here. Let's look at these. So these colors blend beautifully. The white, that light, then a medium, then a dark, and then a much darker. So those would work for this scenario, because even though, except for this one here, they're all prints. This is a doodle print. That's a doodle print. This is some other print. That's solid, but this is a lattice. They read as solid. So I could certainly use those types of prints in this block. Okay. Alrighty. I hope that was helpful. But now we are going to go over to the machine, and we are going to start stitching out our first half of our 10,000 Starbursts. Okay, so here we are at the machine, and I have my placement template, so I know how to place my fabrics when I place which one, so I'll set that right there. I have my 5x7 hoop with my wash away stabilizer in there. I've got my bobbin set, which I'm just using a regular white embroidery bobbin. And I'm using a black thread for piecing, so you all can see. Now, those of you who have been around a while, you know what's coming next, but I'll tell our newer members, since we have so many new subscribers, I like to piece in a light dove gray. You don't see it as much. If it tends to bleed through it all, you don't see it. White, it can be too bright. Cream can be okay if it's with a kind of a yellow, muddy or brownish color. But gray, this light dove gray works with everything. Now, recently I did a shorts video that I will put on, I will attach to the end of this video on thread, my favorite quilting threads, because you all know that have been around that I love 5220 by Isacord. This color blends with every other color. It's like a chameleon. It's beautiful for quilting. And what I did in the shorts is I gave you the equivalents in other brands, because not everybody uses Isacord. So I gave you like Glide and Dime and a couple of other different kinds of threads that you could use in that shorts for your quilting to get this idea. So that will be linked at the end of this video. I will do another shorts here in the next couple of days for the piecing thread, because I know there's a similar color in other brands, and so I'll give you those numbers as well. But that's what I would normally piece with. Today I'm just piecing with black so that you all can see it. Now I have my design up here on my machine, and now here I have my fabrics from my lightest to my darkest, but that's not how I want to lay them out here. What I want to do is lay them out or stack them how I'm going to stitch them in the order. So let me just put this camera down a little bit so you can see it. There we go. So here are all of my fabrics. So I'm going to do number one is going to be the center one. So that one's going to be first. Then I'm going to go to number 2, which is this one. Then I'm going to go to number 3, which is this one. Then I'm going to go to number 4, which is my darkest. And number 5 is my lightest. So now as I have these laying down right here, as I pick them up one by one to use them, they're in the right order. And then I know where to lay them down because I have the placement template. Okay. So I hope that's helpful for you all. Let's just bring this back up here now. Now, the very first step is to stitch down what we call our boundary box. It gives us the boundary of the finished block. When we cut it out of the stabilizer, we cut it out with a 1/4 inch beyond that boundary box. And that's so that we have plenty of fabric there for our seam allowance. And then we use the final box that we stitch as our guideline, our guide box. So that's our finished block, because remember, this is going to be a finished 6 by 6 block. So this is 6 by 3. Now, the very next step, which is also stitched directly on your stabilizer, is the placement line for our center piece of fabric. And you can see here I've got my tools, my scissors, my stylus if I need to work at my machine screen. I've got my glue stick. I've got my seam roller, my stiletto, and my tape. Alrighty, so there's my placement line. Now, I'm going to remove this from my machine and bring it down here. It'll be a little bit easier to see. Let's move this down. And I'm going to just place a little X or a little bit of glue there. Take my very first piece of fabric and I'm going to lay it right on top and press it down. I'm going to bring it up here. Let's move our camera back up. If this were a print, you would have print side up or the right side facing up. Always right side up on our first piece of fabric. For all of you that are new to piecing with your embroidery machine, I'll tell you more about this at the end of this video today. But next week's video is going to be kind of a how-to, because we're going to be out of town. And so you'll see how to do that. You'll see all those little tips and tricks for you. So now we need to do a little bit of trimming. Now, we don't need to trim below the boundary box or above the boundary box, because we'll trim that away when we trim at the very end. But we do need to trim a little on this angle and this angle. So I'm just going to bring that back down. Now, I'm a lefty. So what I do is I come in here. If it is helpful for you, I can eye this really easily at this point in time. But if it is really easy for you, take your ruler and place that 1/4 inch mark right there on the thread itself. Okay. Then either with a pen, and I'm really going to do something horrible here and use a real live marker. I'm just giving myself a little mark there to show myself where to start cutting. That way I know I'm in that 1/4 inch zone. And I'm going to take and I'm going to cut just right down. And you can mark the line if you want. You could use a pencil or whatever kind of a fabric marking pen you like. You could mark that and cut on it, but doing it freehand is actually fine. Now, I got myself a new little lint thing. You know, I have one of these over on the other side, but I needed one right here at my machine, so I got a new one of those. Actually, I've had it for a long time. I should say I found my new one. Let me just trim my other side. I'll do the same thing and I'll show you what it looks like in the end. There you go. So now I've trimmed on both sides. And I'm going to place that back on here. And now I'm going to take my next fabric, which is fabric 2, and I'm going to place it. Let me bring this back down a little bit. I'm going to place it right side down. So if this were a print, the print would be facing the other print, right side together. I'm going to let a little bit of that, just a little bit of that fabric peek there, put that in. And now we're going to stitch that right down. So you can see, folks, that even though we're doing wedges and not our typical squares and things that we do with our half square triangles and all, the process of doing this is still the same. It's still that flip and stitch idea. I'm going to put a little bit of glue stick right there, and I'm going to flip this over and give it a press it down. This is the time where you can use your seam roller. And if you want to roll it across where you've got the glue too, that's fine. When you wash out your stabilizer, you will also wash out your glue stick. If you follow my process for that, that's the other video that I will link. So I'll link the shorts video for thread, and I'll link the stabilizer video at the end of this particular video. So you can see that stitched a whole different shape than what we're used to, but the idea of how we did it was still the same. Now we're going to do our next piece, but we need to trim again. So here we don't need to go beyond the boundary box here, or beyond the boundary box here, or beyond the boundary box here. So I really, do I really need to make any kind of cut? Yeah, actually, that's not the boundary box. Oh, it is the boundary box on this side. Wait a minute, is it? Yes, it is. So I just need to make a little bit of a cut right there, a little bit of a trim right there. So I just cut straight out, and you can see it's a little bit more than that quarter, but that's fine. So I've cut out here. I haven't cut out through beyond the boundary here or here. Now I'm going to lay my next piece up here, just like I did before. Lay it with just a little of that fabric peeking out. And when I say a little, I'm talking threads, just threads. We're going to stitch this down. This is piece number 3. And I will add a little glue and flip this, and we will then stitch it down just like we did on the other side. So once you get going, if you have pre-cut your fabrics and all, and you've got them ready to go, this goes really super quickly. This whole piece, I'm stitching out at 600 stitches per minute, so it's easier for you all to see. And I really am not someone who believes in piecing with speed. I just, that's not what my quilting is about, but it could be for you. That's entirely your choice. But this takes a total of 3 minutes to stitch out at this speed. Some folks like to know, how long is it going to take me to make each one of these blocks? Well, if you're prepped and ready to go, that's how long it takes. Not bad at all. I'm just going to trim now away. Again, I don't have to trim beyond my boundary boxes, just this one edge. Now I'm coming back over here to piece number 4. Lay that down just like I've laid the other ones down, right on top. Again, if these solids were prints, I'd be laying them right side down. So your first piece is always laid right side up. All other pieces start out right side down. And you can see here, I've given you very generous cuts of fabric. And I do that typically in all of my blocks because I want you to have enough in case you make a goof. But especially in this particular block with these shapes that are a little bit odd in their shape, a little bit different than what we're used to, I want to make sure that you don't have any crisis when it comes to fabric. So I'm giving you pieces that are plenty big enough. Now on this final one, I don't need to do any trimming because all the rest of the fabric is beyond the boundary boxes, and that's the last one for this side. So all of that will get trimmed out at the end. Now we're going to come back down to our other side, and I will lay my last piece of fabric down. This is our lightest piece, or piece number 5, and we'll stitch that down. And I will add my glue stick and flip. And again, this is a time when you can use your seam roller get that nice and done. You might want to roll over that center seam a little bit, start the process of softening that center piece up. I think you'll find my tip for softening that seam when it is the full block a little bit funny. But it is something, so what I'm talking about is softening this seam and getting the bulk out of it. And I think you'll find my final tip for that a little bit funny, but it worked for my grandma, so if it worked for her, it worked for me. So now I'm going to take this out. We have one more step to stitch, and that is our guide box, which will go all the way around, and it accomplishes two things. It connects all these pieces that are overlapping, and it gives us our guide box for our final stitching. So I'm just going to take a little piece of tape, and I put as little of it on the inside of the block as I can get away with. Let me just redo that. That's way too big a piece for this one small area. There we go. That makes more sense. And I just cover up the little join areas so that when my needle runs over them, we don't have any of the fabric getting caught on the foot of my machine and nothing getting peeled back and double stitched and causing all kinds of chaos. We don't need chaos in our quilting, right? That's what this process is supposed to do away with, all of the chaos. There we go. So that's done. Now I'm going to stitch out my final guide box. And as you can see, as it comes down over the joins, it's connecting all of the fabrics, and it's giving us our guide box for when we stitch the two halves together, and for when we use that line as well for trimming out of the stabilizer. All right, folks, here we go. We've got our very first half done. So we would make another half in exactly the same way. We would take this over to our other camera. In fact, let me flip over to the other camera. We'll take this out and we'll cut it out of the box that way, or out of the stabilizer. That way you guys can see that. Let me just flip my cameras here. Okay, here we go. Here we are at the other camera. Alrighty, so here we are. Let me get my little screwdriver for my hoop. Alrighty. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come in here and kind of pull away my tape. Use any good fabric embroidery tape that you like. If you use a medical grade tape, I know I always remind you guys of this, but because we always have new folks, it's worth repeating. If you use a medical grade tape, use one that says for sensitive skin. It has less chemicals in it that will hurt your fabrics. And if you use a painter's tape, which I honestly don't recommend for quilting, it can be used in other kinds of embroidery, but for quilting, I really don't recommend it. But if you do, use one that says for fine finishes or for china or fine woodwork, things like that, okay? All right, so here we go. We have our block out of the hoop. Now we want to trim it out. So it's really easy. We're going to use our guide box to help us find our 1/4 inch. We're going to find our 1/4 inch right there on our ruler, and we're going to lay that 1/4 inch mark. I'm going to just tilt mine a little, right on that line. Then I'm going to take my pinking blade rotary cutter. You can use, of course, a regular rotary cutter if you like. I just like a pinking blade better. Why? Every time you see a dip down, that takes even more out of the bulk of your seam. I like that. So I'm going to go over here and do my other edge. And you can do the edges in any order you want, but I'm saving that bulky one for the end because I know I've got to give it a little bit of oomph to it because of that one spot. There we go. Get rid of that. Now I'm going to do this one. Now, because this is going to be a little stiff here, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to kind of roll back and forth there a couple of times. I don't typically do that, but sometimes with bulk like that, I find I have to. All right, there is our 10,000 Starbursts, or half of one, in the blue aquas that we looked at under the camera before, and here it is in the gold one that I originally showed you, but there it is in the aquas. So we go from the dark around to our mid-tone. So darker, warmer, brighter, mid-tone, light, and lightest. That's going to be pretty when it's done, for sure. I like that. All right, everybody, now we're going to go back to the other camera, and we will finish up the video for today. Okay, everybody, so here we are back at my cutting mat, and you'll notice that I have my square on a wool pressing mat, and you'll see why here in just a minute. There is a reason for that. So here it is. I've pressed it, and it's pretty flat. However, when you first do this, you're going to have quite a bit of bulk right here in the center. That really, nicely enough, is the only place you have a good deal of bulk. But let's turn it over. I have opened up my seam and pressed. You have to. You can't do a one side or the other side with this. You'll never get bulk out. And then I've come right in here with my good Karen K. Buckley micro serrated blade scissors, and I have snipped fabric away. Now, I haven't snipped it all the way down to the line, but I have snipped quite a bit of it, and that really takes bulk out of there. And I will eventually wash away my stabilizer. But now that is, and just get in there and snip. Just snip that bulk. It's all right to do that. I know that scares some people. I've been doing it on quilts for over 50 years. So you don't have to worry about that. You're not taking it all out. You've got a lot of it still sewn together. That's still a good seam there. You don't have to worry about that. All right, now I'm going to turn it back over, and I would take this and press it again. And you could do this after you take your stabilizer out if you wish, or before, it doesn't matter. But then I want you to get a tailor's clapper. If you don't have a tailor's clapper, get yourself a nice piece of hardwood. You can go to your lumber supply places. You can go to your home improvement stores. They have a lot of little end cuts in their bins. Get a piece that's a good foot long. If you don't have a clapper, these clappers can be found in lots of fabric shops, lots of online retailers as well. Then I want you to take it, and if you have any aggressions that day, now is your time to get them out, because I want you to beat that center point. Just like that. What's that doing? It's actually softening up that seam. Look at how easy that seam moves now. Where it was like really stiff before, it's really moving now. And that's because I've softened it. My grandmother always used to save her things that needed to be treated with the clapper until the end, so she could really take out her aggressions. But once that's done, see how lovely and flat it is now? That works really well to soften up that seam. I know it seems a little aggressive, but with a seam that meets, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces of fabric meeting all in the same point. If you don't do something to soften them and flatten them, you're going to run into trouble when you go to do your quilting. Now that this is nice and softened, you're probably not going to get quilting that's going to go right through that point anyway. It's probably going to meander around it, and it might hit on the edge or something. But this is going to be so much softer and easier for your needle to go through now. So you're not going to have to worry. In fact, do I have a straight pin? I don't have a straight pin, but oh yes, I do have a straight pin. So here's one of my straight pins, and I can just push that right through there now and right out, right through and right out, all in that thick area. Before that, I would have had to really be pushing to get it in there, but now I don't have to do that. I can just push it right in and pull it right out. That tells me that that has been nice and softened in that one point. So maybe you have some kids, you want to give them something to do, give them your clapper and tell them, you don't need to worry about anywhere, just pound it. How many times? As long as you want, really. A good 10 or 12 times should get it soft for you, but seriously, if you really need to get that aggression out, just go ahead and do it. It's much better that you beat up on that center point of your star block than you do on your starburst than you do on anything else. Alrighty, so let's go back now to our other camera and we will finish up. Okay, everybody, we're back here now to finish up. So we've done our 10,000 starbursts. Again, I want to thank you all for subscribing. And we're well over 10,000 now. In fact, we're almost to 13,000 subscribers. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And again, welcome to everybody, old and new. So I hope you have fun with this little block. I hope you take time to work out your own color combination. I chose the yellow because it was like that yellow golden starburst and all, like I said. But I hope you take some time to work out how you would put this in something. Like I said, if you have our Build-A-Block Basic Set 1, you can use the smaller blocks to make a border around it with half square triangles or the quarter squares or even the plain squares. It'll look darling that way. You could always, when you're making your quilt of the year for this year, our quilt along that's going to start in the middle of October, you could always put this on the back of the quilt, just as you're either piecing your backing fabric, or even if you use one big piece of wide back, just find a way to sew this in somewhere, maybe down in the corner by where you want to put your label, or something like that, just to know that during this year of 2023, which that quilt will represent, you were part of the first 10,000 subscribers here at Sew Uncommon. Maybe make it special like that. And remember, this pattern is free. It is only available until the 30th of September, a very limited time, because I want it out there only for those of you who watch regularly, subscribed in that first 10,000. Well, they're almost, like I said, 13,000 now, but it's not going to be something that's going to stay out there forever. It's for all of you that have been here with me at the beginning. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy learning how to do these wedge shapes, these pie shapes, because like I said before, there's a little more trimming done to them and things like that. But it's still the same process as we do with any other pieced block segment. So have fun with that. Remember that you can get that, and you can get your Build-A-Block system, which is available still at that introductory price of $39.99 until the Build-A-Block is available at that price through the 15th of the month. On the 16th, it'll go up to its regular price, which is still a great value of $50, but you can save that little extra money and buy some fabric if you get it before then. And you can get your free 10,000 Starburst block pattern over at the website as well. This will go away from the website on the 1st of October. So when you wake up on the 1st, if you go, oh, I didn't get it yesterday, and you go, it won't be there. So please go and get it, okay? Let's see. Anything else I want to tell you? Oh, again, the quilt along will start right in the middle of October, okay? Because it's not an overly complicated quilt for this first year. But it is going to be, it's very pretty. I think you'll love it. And it's perfect if you want to do scraps or curated fabric sets, whichever. I've tried to make it so that you can do it either way. The one you see from me, well, I'm not going to tell you which one I'm doing. I want it to be a surprise. No more clues about that. But just be on the lookout because more information these next few weeks will start coming out. And don't forget, I want to see Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter or whatever they call themselves now, filled with 10,000 Starbursts. Post your picture, put hashtag 10K Starbursts. So just like you see it here on this title, 10K Starburst, put hashtag 10K Starburst and then tag us the @ at Sew in Common so that we can see them. Let's fill up the website or the webverse with our 10,000 Starbursts. And so people can see what you're doing and what we're doing. And if you post your photos, which I would love for you to do on our Facebook page, Sew in Common, I will be going out and finding all of the pictures that I can find on the 1st of October. I'll go out and start finding them. And then the winner, we'll put them all in a hat and pick a name. The winner is going to receive the Moda Charm and the Nantucket Candies stack. These were, this is from that Nantucket idea as well. So the winner whose name gets picked will receive that, and then you can contact me with your email or your address, and we'll send it. Alrighty, and I'll remind you of that and now until the end of the month, but don't let time go by. Post those photographs, okay? Because we'd love to see them with the hashtag 10K Starbursts at Sew in Common. All right, everybody. See you all next week. Next week is going to be a little bit different of a video, which a lot of you new subscribers will like because it's going to be a very simple, how do I piece in the hoop? You saw in this video, you may have watched some of my other videos, but I want to break things down in a very step-by-step way for you. Tools, stabilizers, and how you do a basic block, because I know we have so many new folks. I want something to be out there so it's easier for you to watch. Maybe if you've been doing it for a while, maybe it will help remind you of some things again that you may have forgotten. And then that's because I will be out of town next weekend. I will be gone on Friday. I'll be gone on Saturday, probably Sunday and Monday as well, but at least Friday and Saturday we will be gone. And we will be gone some of the day on Sunday. Whether we're gone the whole day on Monday yet, I don't know, but we're going to be gone for a few days. So that video, how to piece in the hoop, will be out on Sunday. Okay, everybody? So until next time, if you haven't subscribed, please join us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to have you as part of the Sew in Common family. You all bring me joy. I hope I bring you joy. Lots of fun doing our quilts and our quilt blocks with our embroidery machine. And until next time, everybody, have a great week and sew life beautiful.